Hi, all. It is October 14th, and this is my winding up the garden for 2023 video. I'm sorry I missed a good chunk of harvest season. I was very busy with work and personal life and stuff, and so this was largely neglected, but we got a whole lot of stuff out for harvest. What's left? I've pulled up almost all the beets and peppers and everything else. What's left is these tomatillos, which haven't quite frozen yet. There are a couple of them that are on there that are still good for salsa, so I'm trying to get one more batch of salsa before I just toss the plants, toss them in the compost pile. The tomatoes have basically stopped ripening. I'm not growing these guys again. These are called spoon tomatoes. Size comparison. They're tiny. They're a whole lot of work to harvest. I'm not doing that again. Same for these guys, the black strawberry tomatoes. Very pretty, but they don't taste very good. They're really watery and kind of cardboardy. You know, so you kind of grow them for the color, but not the flavor, and I'd rather enjoy the flavor of my tomatoes. The beans did really well for us this season. I'm going to plant more. I'm saving a few pods, but I'm probably going to have to buy another pack of seeds. The kale over here, there are a few that have like just a little bit left on them. I want to see how cold hardy these guys are mostly, to see if next year it's worth trying to extend the season and plant like a fall crop of kale. The paste tomatoes were great. Definitely doing more paste tomatoes again, and this seemed like about the right amount for us for paste tomatoes. These are both determinate varieties, so they all get ready at once, kind of towards the end of the season. This back area, tomatoes haven't grown in this area well for, oh gosh, I don't think they've ever grown well here. So I'm going to have to figure out what's up with this corner, maybe add a little bit of fertilizer, but I think it's really a water problem more than anything else. It doesn't really get watered well. But anyway, I'm going to have to figure out what to do in this corner because kind of nothing likes it. Raspberries are done for the season. Blackberries did well this season. That's the black satin that went everywhere. It doesn't put out berries very well, but it grows really well. Let me see if I can see it. Oh, this guy in here, this single stem, pardon the bindweed, is it's a primocane blackberry, so it sets fruit on its first year growth, and then you cut it down to the ground. So I'm hopeful that will start taking off next year, because if it grows the way this thing does, then that's the only one I want in there. They're just so much easier to manage. Going across, I'm saving some okra for seed. I've cut back the comfrey. This strawberry bed didn't spread very much this year. I think it was mostly shaded out by the comfrey. This is you can kind of barely see this raised area. This is a new garlic bed I made. Yeah, I'm trying to double my garlic production this year. I have a whole bunch of seed garlic, so that's the new bed. This is the old bed. I'm kind of leaving it. I'm not expecting that it's going to do as well this year, because next year these trees are going to shade it out really badly. So it's, garlic kind of is a full sun crop. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm planning on planting my smaller cloves over in this one, and that's going to be kind of our summer garlic, like what I use in the kitchen while it's fresh. And then that over there is going to be storage and seed garlic, probably mostly seed garlic. The squash back here did not do well this year. No idea why. I've already pulled up and thrown out a few batches or a few groups of leaves. One more time, a few plants. I'm going to just kind of leave the ones back here to compost in place because they're so tied up with bindweed. We did get some squash out of it. It was good. It just didn't grow particularly well. I'm not sure why. I think that it was kind of just not the right year for them. It stayed fairly wet back here. It's not super well fertilized. I'm not really sure. It was a pretty shady summer too, but I don't know what happened. The honeyberries are finally starting to grow here. I've planted, I think, 5 in this space over the years, and 2 of them are finally established and taking off and growing without any attention, which is what I need from those in order to keep them. These eventually are going to get to be 5-foot tall bushes. It's going to take years, and they don't put on a lot of fruit for the size of the bush, but that's okay. They'll give me something, and this is an unused corner of the garden, so yeah. It also tends to get more spring sunlight, and the honeyberries fruit in the spring and then go dormant and look really ugly, and the leaves fall off in the middle of hot summers, and then they come back in the fall. The asparagus patch has survived. It's come up there. Oh gosh, I think at this point there are only 2 or 3 bald spots, and I might just leave them be and plant something else in that patch. I'm going to have plenty of asparagus through here, so I'm not really worried about the last couple. 20 asparagus plants for a family of 2 is plenty. Once they're fully mature, we'll get plenty. And then I'm not walking all the way around to the front this time, but this has been cleaned up. The posts are in for the grape arbor. One of the grapes has survived and done well through the summer. Once it goes dormant, I'm going to prune it. The hedge of thyme and oregano that was kind of supposed to be a semi-organic, like pest deterrent, not really control, but deterrent measure. Well, it's not semi-organic, but anyway, those are all doing well with the exception of a couple bald spots for the thyme where it's not getting watered. I still didn't do the rain bucket system for that to spread the water off the roof out down through that bed. Once I do that, that bed is going to look very different. I just, late in the season, I'll do it next spring. I don't really want the irrigation stuff to get damaged the moment I put it out. So that's about what I have back here. I will go around to the front actually. So there is 1 or 2 interesting things out there. This is the forever garbage bed. I dumped last year's chamomile that went to seed in here. So we'll see if any of the seed comes back this year. But at this point, this bed's kind of an experiment to just see what happens. I want something to happen. I've cut back the lavender and deadheaded it pretty well. That is getting transplanted out front next year. It's too cold now. It really needs a solid month of cooler weather for the roots to get established before it hits really hot or really cold weather. And we had our first freeze last night. Irises around here have done fabulously, as always. The 2 Nanking cherries are doing very well in this spot, so this is also a good spot. There's no supplemental watering going out here or anything. But we had a really wet summer, so I'm kind of waiting to see, but I anticipate that this is going to be a good long-term spot for those 2. This is all going out here. And next year's big project, I'm probably going to plant fewer vegetable plants, is I want to start a whole bunch of native wildflowers indoors. I've ordered about 20 different kinds of native wildflowers that are going to go out in this patch out here. So step 1, get the wood chips down. There's already manure down that's pretty well sunk in. And then step 2 is going to be the wildflowers are kind of a pain to grow indoors, so that's going to take up a lot of time over the winter, honestly. But I want to have several big patches and kind of, hopefully, eventually, kind of artful arrangements out here of native wildflowers. But, knowing me, I stick stuff in, and if it dies, it dies. So I end up with some bald spots. So we'll see what it ends up looking like in the end, but either way, the bees should be happy. Last... in this front bed, I've spent quite a while working with this bed. It doesn't get much water even when it rains. The roof blocks out a lot of the water. But the echinacea has done very well with low water here. Some of the daffodils are okay. I actually have some that rebroke ground this fall, which is not great. The hyssop. This is, or not hyssop, Augustaceae. They're the same. But the sunset Augustaceae here, this is not native, but it's pretty. And it likes the spot too. So I'm going to plant more Augustaceaes kind of further to the back where it gets even less water, because they seem to be able to handle it pretty well. And then the lilac is finally starting to grow. That's about triple the size it was, but that shows how tiny it was last year when I got it in the ground. I got it in the ground about this time last year, so this is going to be very slow growing. I suspect in part because it's shaded out by this huge tree, in part because there's not a lot of water, but it's a neglected corner, so that's fine. As long as it doesn't die and keeps growing a little bit, sooner or later it'll get big enough. So that's what I got. I have quite a busy weekend ahead of me. Aside from work, I have to plant twice as much garlic as I planted last year and get this stuff down. So I'm about to get off to it. Have a good one, y'all, and happy Halloween.